Honourable Speaker, I rise to support and commend the 2019-2020 budget that was presented by the Minister for Economy on Friday, the 7th of June. And I congratulate him and his team because I've witnessed for the first time how hard it is to work on a budget. And I've seen it for myself, the amount of dedication and commitment that the team and the Minister of Economy, working with our team, to be able to compile this budget. And this is something not done just as a whim, just pull out of the numbers out of the sky. There's been a lot of thought, preparation, a lot of thinking, a lot of wisdom around the budget. And that's something I want to make very clear as I begin today. I also like to thank the Honourable Prime Minister for his visionary leadership and unwavering support. Honourable Honourable Speaker, I want to begin by just commenting on some of the comments that came through the floor over the last 2 days and discuss a little bit before I go straight on to health. I want to start by saying, Honourable Speaker, that yesterday the Honourable Tikundundu took a bit of time discussing about the door at CWM Hospital.
Listen now.
Yes, this is unacceptable, and it shows that we need to work on civil servants to make sure that they're doing their work in monitoring and evaluation and ensuring that works are done. And we've made provisions within the budget to do this. But this is not an indication of health. Health in this nation is not indicated by a falling door. There are clinical indicators. And I want to share with you some clinical indicators that I have with me today, and I've presented it before. The Fiji's infant mortality rate currently sits at 18.3 per 1,000 live births. This is better than the global infant mortality rate, which now sits at 29 per 1,000 live births. The SDG target for neonatal mortality rate, another clinical indicator, by 2030, that's about 11 years away, is 12 per 1,000 live births. Today is 2019. Today, currently Fiji's neonatal mortality rate sits at 11.1. 11.1, we're already below the target. Another SDG target is the under 5 mortality rate, which is by SDG targeting that by 2030 should be 25 per 1,000 live births. Honourable Speaker, at this moment, 2019, Fiji sits at 22.6 below that target. We've achieved those targets even before the approved time. That is a sign of health. That is a sign that as a nation we are healthy. I also want to comment on 2 others. One was my good friend and old boy, Honourable Rasowa. And he said on Helsat 1855, page 1855, paragraph 7. I was here yesterday. I wonder if the Minister of Health was consulted here of the restriction of free milk into rural maritime areas. The students in rural maritime have been getting, and I quote, fresh is best from milk from their mothers for the last 6 to 7 years. Honourable Speaker, mothers don't breastfeed more than 2 years. And to suggest that rural women are breastfeeding at 6 and 7 years of their child, to me is belittling of rural women. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Another one, Honourable Speaker, is the Honourable Sokuru brought up in Parliament yesterday, in this August House, the discussion of the murder and cannibalism of Reverend Thomas Baker in my mother's province in Namosa. I was embarrassed. Why bring it up? That's what they do. They talk about the bad past in the provinces. I want to tell this August House what we view of Namosa. Government values Namosa. That's why we are building a government station in Namosa. That's why the Honourable Prime Minister opened the legal aid office in Namosa. That's why we have a more than $25 million hospital going to open in Namosa. That's why we're working on the road on the west bank and on the east bank of Namosa. That's why we continue to build bridges in Namosa. Because we believe in the future of Namosa, not on the bad future, bad history of Namosa. So when you talk about my mother's place, talk about the good things about them, not the bad. Because that's gone.
I never mentioned about Mount Navrosar, sir.
Then what you mean then?
I never mentioned about Navrosar. My speech. And he is misleading Parliament. I had a different perspective of the disaster. I'm talking about the natural disaster without God. No? What God has done to this land. That's
You have the floor, Minister. Thank you. Whatever else, is Thomas Baker being cannibalized somewhere up there, and that's in Namosa. The budget of 349.8 million for the Ministry of Health and Medical Services is to further improve our health and well-being. It is built to reach the unreached, that no one is left behind. And this is a welcome provision. There's major expansions ever since this government came into power. And we need to consolidate these gains by refocusing on greater efficiencies that will ensure more timely access to health services. The government's vision is in line with the vision of WHO, which is universal health coverage, and aspiring to the standards of universal health coverage. And there are three pillars of universal health coverage. One is leaving no one behind, Honorable Speaker. Number two is making sure that we're reaching all the unreached. And number three, Honorable Speaker, is ensuring that we decrease the out-of-pocket expenses of those who are in the places that we're trying to reach. To that extent, the Honorable Speaker, in our 207 facilities all over Fiji, we are beginning to use these 207 facilities to base our services that will reach right down to the community. When we talk about healthcare, we often focus on work that our doctors and nurses do every day in hospital and health centers and nursing stations. But we must not overlook the vital contribution that all participate in, whether it's through using vehicles, using boat, sometimes in areas that are hard to reach, they may have to walk, but this is the whole collective effort to be able to provide health in its whole context. We have, Honorable Speaker, one of the world's highest rates of the expanded program for immunization at 96%. That means that our children are protected against deadly and disabling diseases. And the impact of climate change is a reality that we in Fiji need to live with and adapt to. The impact of Cyclone Winston is well known. It is estimated that it took away at least 20% of our GDP, and our nation about $500 million. Likewise, the intense storms and flooding that Fijians experience not only have an economic impact, but also lead to surges in viral and other infections. Improving our reach with a focus on ensuring that all people in Fiji have timely access to our services is a key strategy to dealing with adverse health impacts of climate change. Our ministry is committed to reducing the effects of related communicable diseases such as leptospirosis, typhoid, dengue, and tuberculosis. Fiji achieved a significant milestone last month when the Ministry of Health and Medical Services Emergency Medical Assistance Team, FEMAT, became the 15th country to be declared Type 1 Fixed Emergency Medical Team. The Director General of WHO tweeted a message, and I quote, "The accreditation of Fiji's emergency medical team is a testament to a small island nation that when it works together and focuses on investing the national capacity can reach the heights that are acceptable worldwide." This, Honourable Speaker, signifies the potential and the capacity that we have towards a safer and high-quality rapid health emergency team. And FEMAT is made of people like you and I that love Fiji, who volunteer their time because they see a vision of selfless service. These men and women of FEMAT remind me of the Hippocratic Oath, which doctors have to say, which is, "I consecrate my life to the service of humanity." And last month at the WHA World Health Assembly in Geneva, as we chaired the Commonwealth Health Ministers meeting, we again had a Talanoa session on the theme of universal health coverage, reaching the unreached and leaving no one behind. So the discussion is happening on a global scale, and it's also discussing on a local scale, and this budget is geared to actually supporting that. We acknowledge the enormous contribution the visiting medical teams have towards the upskilling of our local people. We've had the opportunity to working alongside them, and as a result, our local capacity in terms of specialized health services continues to improve, and as such, we're becoming better to be able to support our people with quality standards. The Ministry of Health, Medical Services, Public Health Services is committed to improving the health and well-being of all Fijians, regardless of income or geographic locations. In its efforts to curb the rise in NCDs, HIV, AIDS, and communicable disease, the Ministry is embarking on a new approach which is wide-reaching to holistic, providing preventative, curative, rehabilitative care and treatment to encourage healthy lifestyles. As the Minister responsible for health and well-being, it is incumbent on me and our staff to ensure that people are knowledgeable and health conscious. In our effort to achieve this, our people had the pleasure of visiting formal and informal settlements in our peri-urban areas and communities in the maritime zone, in the highlands of both Viti Levu and Puno Levu, sharing the vision of government to empower Fijians and take ownership of their own health and lead longer, healthier lives. These visits include informal settlements such as Taulunga in Lami, Virais in Kinoa, Waila in Watuanga, Matarangata in Watukolo, Waisere in Itasiri, and many, many more. I've had the opportunity of visiting villages across the nation. I've even had the opportunity to sleep in a village in the Mosi. These visitations by our staff is in the continuous strengthening of preventive outreach programs related to family health, adolescent health, child health, environmental health, and mental health awareness. And to this, government has allocated 6.4 million to continue this important work this year. A total funding of 19.1 million has been allocated to major infrastructure projects, refurbishment, upgrading, extensions of health facilities around the country. These projects include upgrading and maintenance of the Valley Health Center and its institutional quarters in order to pursue and modernize our centers to cater for the growing population within the Sinu corridor. We have done major renovations at Valley Level and will continue to do so within this budget. People are already seeing and are clearly happy that the changes are happening. And the 2019-2020 budget, Honourable Speaker, has allocated another 1.2 million to continue to do the upgrades in the Lamina-Sori corridor. The extension of the CWM Hospital Maternity Unit, this 200-bed facility, when completed, will serve the need for all our expectant and delivering mothers. The CWM Maternity Unit is no longer large enough on its own to serve the needs of the population. It's at the moment being supplemented by the Makoi Maternity Unit. A better facility will also lead to better services and staff performance. And I'm happy to say that government has given us $4 million for this project. I've talked about the Navosa Divisional Hospital and its 18-bed capacity, and to this, government has set aside $7.5 million for the completion of the last phase of this project. Honourable Speaker, I was in Raki Raki Hospital last week, and while I was there, I had the opportunity to meet many people from Ra. What I saw was that people around the Waimadia side had to come all the way to Raki Raki Hospital for dental clinics. I'm grateful that the 2019-2020 budget is allocating $687,531. And part of this money will allow the ministries to set up a new dental clinic at the Waimaro Health Center to cater for the special people of Ra. Honourable Speaker, I also had the pleasure on Saturday to meet Mrs. Asela Robulo, a community health worker at Korobuli Village in Senganga Lebu, who came all the way to Wunindawa to celebrate with us National World Blood Drive Day. She is a lady who's a community health worker being paid under the Banimarama government, under the new scheme, and she mobilized the entire community for blood drive recruitment process. And the blood that was collected was directed towards saving lives at the Lambasa Hospital. This is just part of the great help and assistance that community health workers have been to the Ministry of Health across Fiji. And to this, government has allocated $2.5 million to ensure the continuation of government support for our community health workers. Honourable Speaker, in early March this year, a retired gentleman, 67 years old, from Nabua, who will remain unnamed, knocked on our door seeking assistance from the Ministry of Ministry of Health and Medical Services for medical treatment overseas for cardiac complication. Devastated by the prospect of losing their father, husband and wife, and the 3 children standing alongside him in the process until all his documentation was verified. The gentleman was sent to New Delhi in India for an open heart surgery, recovered well, is now happy to be back in Nabua with his entire family. Government paid all the bills, treatment, airfares, and accommodation. And for this, government has allocated $1.5 million in the next budget year of 2019-2020. Honourable Speaker, the Global Health Framework of Universal Health Coverage has now become the driving force for all our outreach programs. The marine vessel Vehueti was recently in Laos for 33 days. Before that, it was in Lomoiviti. And for this, in doing our outreach programs and being able to provide services that are only available at the centers in Suva, government has allocated $185,000 in the financial year to support our outreach program. Over the years, Honourable Speaker, we've seen a gradual increase of general practitioners doing locum in our public facilities. There was a question by the Honourable Ratu Antonio Lalabalabu about how we provide locums. We provide locums based on need. These are actually being given to us by the subdivisional medical officers and the divisional medical officers So in places where there's a health center with lots of doctors, they may not need a locum. In places where there's a lot of general practitioners around, and we don't actually need to have extra doctors within the facility, we may not need a locum. But in Valley Level, health center is one benefiting from the arrangement of using locum general practitioners. It increases human resource capacity within our facility, thereby reducing doctor-to-patient ratio. It reduces waiting time for our patients, using the massive experience within this GP who has agreed to do locum. In the 2019 to 2020 budget, government has allocated 2.5 million on GP locum, which will certainly ensure a more patient-centered approach in all our public facility. Honorable Speaker, our infrastructure refurbishments are now designed to world-class structural standards and at least Category 4 compliant. In terms of healthcare services provided, these infrastructure projects will also ensure the provision of standard services across all healthcare facilities in Fiji. Service loads will be shared more evenly amongst healthcare workers across all health facilities, irrespective of locations, and quality services will be more readily available for all Fijian people, no matter where they live. And to support this expansion in facilities and services, the Ministry will, for the first time in its history, have well over 900 doctors once the next pool of graduates come through at the end of this year. The Ministry has also overseen, Honourable Speaker, an expansion in clinical services. And we now have urology, neurosurgery, endoscopic surgery, cardiac, a cath lab, to name a few. We support the government's, and this supports the government's desire to achieve fiscal stability for the medium term, because we need to consolidate many of the gains in expanded services by promoting quality care and greater efficiency. Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Health and Medical Services is determined to improve the quality of our services provided in all our 207 facilities, including our corporate office, beginning with our head office in Suva. There is a significant need for continuous improvement in our ministry, continuous improvement in professionalism to protect lives and reduce complaints. And the 2019-2020 budget allows the Ministry of Health and Medical Services to strengthen our human resource procedures, improve quality, and deal appropriately with processes and staff who have faulted our people. The Ministry of Health and Medical Services does not condone unprofessionalism. The Ministry of Health and Medical Services is committed to improving efficiency and developing a compassionate, committed, professional, ethical workforce in both the health professionals and the corporate professionals who support the Health Services Division. Our ministry, Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Health and Medical Services, needs the support of the nation. We need to respect our health facilities. 2/3 of our staff are women, and we need to protect them. When staff are being pulled out, just like recently, a lady doctor was pulled out of an island because she was threatened, there's a cost to the people, there's a cost to government. And Honourable Speaker, we need to stop the pilfering happening in our facilities. And also we need to stop damaging and desecrating our health facilities. These damages cause the Ministry of Health and Medical Services to utilize already committed resources for needed repairs. Honourable Speaker, I would like to now acknowledge the tremendous effort of everyone in the Ministry of Health and Medical Services, the clinical staff, the corporate staff, and I would like to say that our collective efforts are being recognized, and I appreciate the many things that they have done. I know there's many improvements to be done also, but for that I am grateful that the budget that is before us will enable us to do that. Honourable Speaker, sir, I fully support and commend the 2019-2020 budget. Thank you.